Looking to make a little money before work. Yep, that's one thing that's holding me back from going back to driving full time is the vehicle. It's just too many miles, too many things, too many expenses. So that's what's holding me back from that. And that's the reason why I don't want to have a ton of 1099 forms, because I have somebody that's a professional do my taxes because it's easier. It's guaranteed to be right because he's a professional. He owns a tax business. So I have to pay per form. So if I just have two forms, then it's cheaper that way. But my, the rental prices, it's just way too high to rent. Because if I was to do it full time, I'd rent. Because the renting, it includes insurance. So that would be a big relief. But, I mean, that's just too expensive. It is. That's just, I know when I had to rent a couple times, about 4 years ago, I think it was, I don't know, 150? I didn't pay anything more than 200, I don't think. One time I rented a vehicle, drove it across the country. It was 225. So the prices today are freaking crazy. It's just, you're not really going to make any money. I mean, you can deduct it, but still. Deductions aren't income. You don't really want to be like, yeah, I'm living on my deductions. It's just, so yeah, that's the story about that. Otherwise, when I'm looking and I'm reflecting, I like working for myself. It's just better because I can work the hours I want to work. There's no withdrawal from the power of the boss of your hours. You know what I mean? But there's that power of being deactivated, and that's a pretty potent thing. So, I mean, but post office is pretty petty too. You can get in trouble there maybe just as easily, So, my dog spray, yeah. So, having 85,000 miles on the vehicle and leaping into this full time, see, that's just not worth it. That's going all the way back to where I came from, which I would take it if it was worthy. If it was worthy, I'd take this trip because I have time. But for $27.92, it's just not worth that money. It's not worth it. That's just not worth it. And then I'm going to hit the traffic on the way back to work. It's not worth it. It's crap pay. That's on the way back. That's going to be an hour and a half because then I'm going to hit the. That's why I'm always super early to work. It's because I'm beating the traffic. Just sitting in a slow down all day. It is. Yeah, $27. That's not good. I almost just want to. I just disabled the Uber X, but you never know. Might have some good trips every once in a while. I didn't do crap yesterday. I had some Walmart orders that were good. I had 3 at once, and each of them were like $19, and then 2 of them canceled. So I'm like, damn, that would have been $60. Yeah, the one that survived here. Well, no. This was a pickup from an employee at the airport. Yeah, this was Uber X. Yeah, that's the thing. It's weird. Uber X here, 4 miles, no tip. $13.64. See, that's decent. But yeah, in that same area, there's crap trips that are not even close to that ratio. So it's weird. It says Uber's service fee was so we're paying a service fee of like what, $400 a month to do this, and then they piecemeal it throughout the month. I don't know, man. Maybe that's true. Because that is weird when I look at that. Uber's service fee was negative $2.13. The number's negative because you made more from fares and promotions than the customer price, excluding tips, which are always 100% yours. Yeah, you see, that trip was good. If all the Uber X trips were like this, you make money. You wouldn't wear out your car. I mean, you would wear out your car, but you'd be able to pay for the car at that rate. But obviously, as you just saw, $27 for 43 miles. That's all the way up to the tip there. Yep. Canceled that. That would have been a good one. Yeah, and that's just right up the freaking street, too. That would have been sweet. This guy tipped right away. And I think a lot of people don't tip us because they kind of hide the tip feature when you order from Walmart. So yeah, $16 originally for 6.5 miles. Not terrible. I can live with those. Okay, this was just across the street. Literally across the street. It's funny. So, but the requests that were being offered were really few. There weren't many requests being offered yesterday. It was a pretty dead-ass day. So, yeah. That's another reason why I'm not so eager to jump in 100% on the driving thing. Because when it's dead, it's dead. There's so many people doing it. It's just, I mean, kind of showing that the W-2 is semi-secure. I mean, up until a month and a half ago, it was secure. Coming in, casing the route, getting it done every day, getting 2 days off. Nothing to cry about. But, you know, knowing at least you got those hours, and all of a sudden, the last month and a half, start time 10 o'clock. And so it's kind of like now, that stability. What's the difference? Thank God I paid off the other car, so I don't have to worry about that. And that with my deal that I made, that pays my rent for the year. That buys me a lot of choice, a lot of freedom. in that. And there's more freedom now for that. I don't have to worry about that. So my choices are there. I can make choices a lot easier now, knowing that I've gotten away from that burden. I mean, geez, if I had to pay the typical rent that you would have here, even as a roommate situation, which would have to, you'd have to be a roommate. I can't pay for a full-fledged apartment. Can't afford it. I mean, even without any debt, I wouldn't be able to afford it. It's just, you can't do it, especially with the hours being what they are now, with 2 days off. How are you going to pay your rent? Seriously, I mean, it's baffling. I mean, it is what it is, man. It's just, I think there's an overtime desired list. So I guess I've heard different stories from different postmasters who've explained this to me. So that's why it's tricky trying to give accurate information, is because you get multiple authority figures telling you different versions. So it's you have to basically read the JCAM yourself. I think I'm right. They can work CCAs basically 360 days a year, 12 hours a day. This office is saying no. You can't do more than 60 a week. But the JCAM says full-time regulars. It doesn't say CCAs. Okay. One postmaster said that they can use CCAs first, but then when they do use regulars, they have to use the OTDL, the overtime desired list first, and then go to the no overtime list after they've filled up the OTDL. But I guess the way that it reads here is if you're on the list, you're automatically going to get 12 hours. Then they'll go to the CCAs and then to the no list, I guess. So I guess casing the route is an hour. So I think that's a little bit of it. I mean, naturally, the boss said you're going to be out late regardless, so you're starting at 10, which tells me you're basically giving out punishment. But if you got a lot of people on the desired list, letting them double case, that's 50 minutes to an hour credit right there that they can easily throw at the list. And they have on the wall, like, people who are low on hours. And so therefore I think that's maybe the baseline reason. CCAs are starting at 10. And I've connected with my biological aunt recently. I never got to meet my biological mother, which is an issue for me. And yeah, she died and never got quite the closure on that. And it turns out my aunt worked at the post office for 29 years. And in conversation about hours, and she said, and she was a postmaster and a supervisor for many years. So she said that in her town, that the union wouldn't allow CCAs to case. So I guess that probably ties into the overtime desired list, because where in the MD 41 does it say that? Does it say that in the JCAM that CCAs are not the case? So I think it's related to overtime. So that's, I got sidetracked. So yeah, just kind of sidetracked here. But yeah, my brain is fried. So therefore, I think, yeah, that hour, that's an easy way to throw an hour at an overtime desired person, is to have CCAs just pick it up and double case and have them come back. Logically, if you're pissed off of the CCAs coming back around 7, give them less work. Because I know that I'm doing more than a route's worth of work every day. So then all you have to do is just give less work. And then they're going to be back sooner. You know what I mean? It's that simple. Because I know if I was to just do a route, I'd be back at 3:30, 3 o'clock every day. Most of the routes, even the long ones. And some routes I can get done for 2:30. And I've gotten routes done at 1:30 before. So, yeah, that's the simple answer. That's multiple stops. There's a lot of those coming. I just don't take them. But so that is a little bit of a window when you're thinking about that video about the joy being grilled over, like converting a bunch of people. And that's a part of why the post office loses money, is because they could have somebody doing it at the price of $19.82 an hour. But instead, they're going to have someone who's might be making upwards to $35 or $30 an hour doing it. Giving a person 22, well, they're not that young. They've been around for a while, a lot of these regulars. So they're probably maxed out, and I think that's 35. So they're getting time and a half, and that's good money. So that's like freaking 15, 17, that's about $52 an hour when they could be doing it for $19.82. So obviously you're going to lose money when you're operating like that. That's, I guess, maybe part of the negative about unions, because that overtime desired list, guaranteed hours, that's the union contract. That's why they say you want to be a career guy, because those are good benefits, to be guaranteed 12 hours a day if you're on the list. That's a good benefit. Just for being on the list, you get 12 hours at that rate. That's good money. That's pretty good. But the tax rate, you work a lot of overtime. You work too much overtime. You're not really getting, you're not able to keep the money. I've seen that in my checks, and I've shown you, I think. At UMass, I made a lot of overtime. I didn't really make any money. It's just like you get put into this bracket. Now, I understand. Up into the bracket, you're not going to pay the higher rate, okay? The way it works is you pay X up until you get to the next bracket. Then it changes up until the next bracket. Then it changes up to the next bracket. It's not like now you've reached that bracket and now all of what you've made is at that X rate. No, you're getting the tax rate up into the bracket, and then it changes from there forward. Okay, but you're still losing money. I mean, one time at UMass, they screwed up my pay, and they did pay me. So I got it all at once. And I think it was $32.80. That was the gross. And I remember the net, 1840. 1840 out of 3,200 and I think 60 or 80 or 47. It worked out to 47%. 47% is a crazy amount of taxes to pay. That's high tax rate for the overtime. You're putting in a lot of hours and you're not really getting anything out of it, really, at that rate. That's just really the lack of incentive. If you want the overtime, you're not really gonna. I mean, you are making more money, but at the ratio, are you really making that much more? It's better to just do your 8 hours, hop on Uber or DoorDash, and make your money that way, and then be able to prorate your deductions. That's the better way to do it. Rather than working overtime all the time. That is why, like, egig work is the way to go. And then you can actually probably keep a lot more money than just banking hours at your W-2 job. So work minimal at your W-2 job, or find that happy medium of overtime that's good, and then don't work more than that. And then make that money that way. That's the way to do it, I guess. Strategy. Got to strategize in life. But being able to have control of your time, not to deal with bullshit, you know? I'm just really, and that's a personal problem of mine. I got to take accountability for it. I just can't handle this crap. That's why I like working by myself. I'm self-driven. And I like my alone time because of that. Because I just don't want to deal with ridiculousness. That's why egig work is great. You're working on your own. For the most part. It's really good. It's really freeing. Yeah. Yeah, that's below the dollar mark. I'm not taking it. I mean, that restaurant's good to pick up from. It's convenient. That's a big part of my decision making too. It's like, how good are they how easy it is to pick up the time that you have to spend to pick that up. That's why I don't do the Habit Grill anymore. Screw that. I ain't waiting 20 minutes for that. You gotta minimize your time. You gotta look at the time that it takes to pick up and do it as well. If you're gonna wait 10 minutes, you're gonna lose. You're losing your time. You gotta minimize any kind of idle time in your trips. So, yeah. You gotta make money, obviously. You gotta find the way that you make the money. Security. That's what we're looking for, right? When you yank people's hours away, you take their security away. What do you expect to happen? They're going to start looking for work. They're going to start not tolerating things that you say that's going to piss them off, because now they don't really think they're having anything to lose. It's just that simple. Definitely my skin would be thick if I was making $25 an hour, and I'm not even close. I'm not close to being maxed yet, and I'm making $25 an hour, and I got benefits, and I'm guaranteed 12 a day. I'd have thick skin for that. I would be like, yes, ma'am, and put up with your shit for that. Because I'd feel like I had something to lose. I have that 401k, I'd have the benefits, and I'd have something to lose. So therefore, I would be like, okay, that sucks, but whatever. And I'd be like, totally like, but when you don't have the benefits and your hours are yanked, you can't case anymore, you don't really have much more to lose. I'm repeating myself on that, but that's the core of stability. Like, when I worked my ass off in North Adams, yeah, I mean, it was like, after the week and a half, it's like, whew, it's hard a little bit, but you did it. Because when I got my check, I netted that $2,200, sometimes $2,300. And I'm like, yeah, I can pay my bills on that. And I had my ducks in a row. I paid the bills, and therefore you're feeling good. And therefore you're doing well. Even if you don't have any time and you're working 2.5 weeks in a row, you're paying the bills on that money. So when you can't pay your bills on the money, it just makes you feel the way it makes you feel. Anybody would feel that way. Stability. It's just, and then they want to observe you all the time, trying to catch you doing petty shit. Now they're trying to make you feel like you're going to lose your job. Because now it makes you feel like, well, geez, they're observing you like that because they want to get rid of you. That's the way you're thinking. One time I was late 4 hours to work, and they gave me a warning with 90 days. Here, lose the dog spray, they gave me 5 months. I mean, 5 months for that? Skipping it's just like, Jesus, how are you going to think about your job security when they're being petty? So, yeah, it's just, it creates the lack of stability. Like DeJoy said it when he's blinking. I'd be blinking too, but yeah, it was really apparent. I'd be pissed, if Rand Paul not even allowing you to answer, it just. It's a good topic, when you want to talk about economics and the philosophy of economics, or the philosophy of the workplace, about attrition. How do you run a business with a solid workforce that's gonna be eager to work for you? These are topics to think about. Because, yeah, you can have a manager who's a petty motherfucker being stupid. Are you going to accept any responsibility for that manager? You're going to be defensive. You're going to argue. You're going to be like, you're going to come up with any kind of defense. But say you have another manager who's reasonable, offers respect, that kindles rapport. You're going to not want to let that person down. So when that manager yells at you, you're going to take it seriously, and you're going to accept responsibility for the second manager, because you know that they're professional with you. So therefore, when they do yell at you, you're going to be sorry that you've made them upset. So that's just really a kind of the basics of psychology, of how to have well-behaved employees who care about being behaved, based on how you manage. If you want to be that manager that cuts hours because you think your CCAs are too slow, then you're going to have CCAs or employees who are under the assumption they're being punished. And then when you throw things around like, oh, that they're slow or whatever, and that's part of their identity is like how fast they are, because that's how we all have our identities. It's like an invisible construct. I waved my hand. An invisible construct. And sometimes we pride ourselves on how we work. And when you want to come against that, and the person knows it's not true, you're going to make them mad. So, stability. It's the core of it. The core of all what I'm talking about. Yeah, stability. Homeostasis. Yeah, really. Is at the seat of all this is stability. And how do you maintain that stability? You have to give them something that they don't want to lose. So, in the simplest form of economics, that way of like, I want something to get a reward for something I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you this if you give me this on that exchange. And if you don't do this, then I'm going to take this away. That's the simple way of understanding. But the person has to value what you're holding. If they don't think it's valuable enough, then it washes away. It washes away their care about what they're doing, because they don't think they're losing really anything, because they're not happy with what they're receiving. They don't think they're getting a fair bargain. So then you still have the authority, but you have people that don't really care about losing the job now. So you lose your stability. Now you have to retrain a new employee. And that's probably part of the reason why that they're hiring despite cutting hours, because they know that they're probably going to lose some people. So they're figuring, we'll just keep on hiring. So when we do lose the people that are under that mindset, well, we got them replaced. And they just play this game. And then they can keep you under the 2 years. You won't make it. They don't have to give you the 401k. They don't have to give you the benefits. And in their mind, they've gotten cheaper labor that way by getting rid of you before the 2-year mark. So this idea about keeping workers is really a psychological one, of how you treat people. Their desires of what they want. Because that's basically it, is being able to have some security in your life. If you don't feel you have that, then you're going to continue to look for it. But if you feel you do have security, then you don't want to lose it. So that is kind of common sense stuff. What the heck, man? I almost accepted that. So, yeah, that's life. I guess that's, if I was to, start a business, a lot of it would be thinking about how I govern employees. Definitely, how do you discipline employees and get them to change and not let them think that it's unfair. And then be able to get them to do what you want them to do. And you need to have them receive something that they don't want to lose. And then with fairness and professionalism, you'll get people that really will like to work for you. rather than be disgruntled and not give a crap and feel like they're being disrespected, you know. So that's kind of the interesting thing. It's like we're actors in a lot of ways. We don't like to think that we're not, but we are. I guess that's the way you show your true colors, is when you remove things. Then the actor can't act anymore because they're acting based on what they're receiving, and they know that what they're receiving can be taken away, so they act accordingly. So then once they know that there's nothing to receive, then they basically kind of go to their basic genuine self, and now they're not acting anymore, and now they might not care as much as you thought that they cared. It's because they did care, is because they acted. I mean, me, my identity kind of in my mind, I care about efficiency and doing the job well. Personally, it matters to me. That's part of my pride when it comes to doing the job accurate, is because I feel good about doing the job well. So therefore, even though I'm an actor, I'm still going to do the job well. It's because internally, it matters to me about how well I'm doing. It's not because I'm trying to get the bosses to like me. I want to like me, and that's the truth. That's otherwise, yeah, I wouldn't give a crap. You know what I mean? I give a crap because I give a fuck about myself, and I feel good about what I do, and so therefore, I do it. Yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, we're actors. I'm not a violent person, so therefore, they don't have to worry about like anything like that. But yeah, that's probably how violent people get violent. Is they weren't violent before because they were acting non-violent until they thought that they lost something, and then you see their true colors come out, and that's probably a little bit of the psychology behind that. When it comes to people who seemingly behaved, and now all of a sudden they're not behaving because they can't perform the act anymore because they've lost the reward that they're trying to get. So, enough rambling. Morning rambling session. I'm gonna, make the money today. That is one thing about like this kind of stress, which I like, is it conjures the brain. It gets the brain moving. You're thinking a lot, and you know what I mean? It moves the brain and provides stimulus for the mind. And so therefore you kind of like it. That's why you kind of like getting pissed off. It stimulates you. And it produces. It moves you. It's like, man, I can understand and I respect people that just want to be, They want to just like, yeah, man, just exist. And just like, but, you gotta have a little chaos in your life. But you gotta balance the chaos. You gotta balance it. So I think that's the reason why I feel like lost when I have a day off and I don't know what to do with myself. Because now all of a sudden you're removing all that, and then you feel like you're withdrawing from it. It's like. But on that note, I will let you guys go, and thank you guys. Thank you for the new subscribers and the comments. And thank you. And I will let you guys go. Thank you.